Hello and welcome back to the Villa View. Plenty going on at Villa Park at the moment, or not going on the transfer front, so we wanted to get a few fans on to see what their thoughts were of what's going on at the moment. We want you to treat this like a football phone-in, so you can either listen to it like you would on the radio, or as normal, just give it a watch. And please get involved in the comments below. All right, Max, you've come on and you want to talk about Ross McCormack, don't you, as one of your points?
Yeah, I just think he's a bit of a waste at the moment. The reason I want to talk about him is something I actually saw at Wolves at the weekend. It's probably about the 78th minute, and I think it sums up his attitude at the moment. Bruce was giving him instructions, and his actual reaction was just shrug of his shoulders, and he walked off. And that's all I want to say, because I think it totally sums up his attitude at the moment. Since the Wolves game, I've been backing him 100%. I actually felt quite sorry for him because he hasn't been getting the service. He's been getting at places like Leeds, Fulham, etc., playing into his strengths. But now I couldn't care less about him. I couldn't care less because that sums up why we probably won't get promoted this year. That general attitude. I mean, it's enough of Gabby, of his completely can't be arsed attitude at the moment. But for McCormack to go in that way now, I think it's a disgrace. As long as he's a Villa player, I'll support him. But as a person, because he was a captain at Fulham as well, so for those qualities as well, I just think it's disgraceful. What
do you think the big problem is? Because McCormack's obviously been at every other team he's been at in the Championship, Leeds, Fulham, Cardiff. The guy scored goals, so he's a good player, and he's definitely a good player at this level. But at Villa, it just isn't working. Do you think it is just the fact that he hasn't had a run of games?
I think it is. I think it's the run of games, and I think he'd be perfect with a player like Gusted, someone who would nod a ball onto him. I mean, you saw it opening day against Sheffield. That exact thing happened. Gusted nodded a ball, and he got onto it. For some reason, he tried to chip Westwood when he should have placed it. But I think the service we've been giving him is dire. I mean, there's a vine going around of how we've pretty much resorted to now. Johnson kicking the ball long, who may add had quite a good game apart from his mistake. I thought he was quite unlucky. Kicking the ball long straight to Abonlahor. I mean, he's about 5'10", 5'11", and the person marking him is about 6'2". He's never going to win a ball like that. He's never going to win it. So I think we're playing completely the wrong strengths of our team.
In defence of him, he obviously scored on Boxing Day against Burton, and he actually played quite well in the second half in that game. And then suddenly, the next game, he finds himself out of the team. Do you think that was a bit of bad management there? He finally got him to score a goal, and then the next game he was taken out, and since then he has looked very sulky.
I mean, to be fair, I'd be the same. All my life I've played as a striker, and when I ever got took off, I was the same, because when you're a striker, all you want to do is score goals. So I'll be quite annoyed as well, especially against Leeds. He probably wants something to prove to their team because of how the history runs with him about contracts and all that. So I think if he's scoring goals, it's going to be confidence. It's confidence boost, obviously. So if he's got a goal in the last game, why he'd take him out to play Leeds is just bewildering, to be fair, because obviously he's got his confidence back. He probably would have thought, right, I'm good to go now. He said it in his interview. He can't wait to get playing again. So yeah, I think that probably would be. I don't think him and Bruce have got the best relationship either. I think it's blatantly obvious, and I don't blame him. He completely favours Codger. But I do feel sorry. I think if he notches Codger's away, he might think, right, this is me to kick on. But I think it's too little, too late now. Too little, too late for him. I think he's gone in the summer, and it's a shame. It's a shame because I did want him to do well, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, going back, who was it? Felipe Luis at Chelsea. I mean, he was there for one season. He left because he was just unsettled. And he didn't like it. And I think it's the same case with McCormack.
Right. Thanks for coming on and speaking to us, Max.
No, don't worry.
Cheers, man. All right, Ben. Good to have you on, mate. You want to talk about the fact that we don't really seem to have a playing style under Bruce?
In Bruce's first few games, it kind of seemed like we would take a counter-attacking approach and sort of absorb pressure and then kind of feed the ball into Kaja. Yeah. But even then, we were reliant only on Kaja as our only attacking chance to create chances, and we don't have that luxury now. But we shouldn't need that. I mean, we have better players than most championship sides. We have more talent. And then now we've kind of gotten away from that absorbing pressure, and we don't have any style at all. We just kind of knock the ball around and no style play at all. And it's gone on to the youth level as well. I mean, I don't have a chance to watch the U23s very often, but when I do, they don't seem to have any style about them as well. So, what I'd really like to see for the rest of the season, even if we don't push for promotion, it's just kind of, I'd like to see us develop a style and kind of deploy it throughout the rest of the season.
What kind of football do you think you'd like to see us be playing?
Well, I think the championship, it's harder kind of to play possession football, but I think we have the quality to do it. Obviously, we lack in the central midfield, and maybe bringing someone like Lansbury or Hourhan in could help with that. But I still think we have the quality to kind of play more of a possession football. But like you guys kind of touched on in the last video, the Wolves reaction, it's like as soon as we sold Justed and we start lofting balls into the box, it's just puzzling.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You wanted to touch on mentality as well, the mentality of the players. Well, really, there was only 4 players from last season in that starting 11. Why is it that the mentality is still so bad amongst the team when it is basically a group of new players?
I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it, but I don't know if you guys saw this. It's just a little thing I picked out during the game, and obviously I'm watching the game from the U.S., so I'm on a different TV provider, but the camera kind of panned over to Grealish, and I think he was warming up with Davis and Green maybe. He has a smile on his face, and he's kind of laughing with those two guys, and it just kind of stuff like that bothers me. You know, you mentioned Gabby in the past. When he loses a ball, he has that grin on his face that he always has. But yeah. I don't get it. Grealish has been through this, and he's a lifelong Villa fan, and I feel like this should mean a lot more to him. He shouldn't have a smile on his face when we're going down 1-0 in a local derby.
Do you think we need more people like James Chester? Because obviously he's come out this week and saying defeat with Villa hurts more than it has in any other team. But we need more of that. I don't think there's. I think we all thought we'd signed a lot of characters in the summer, but it doesn't actually look like we have, because the mentality hasn't really shifted.
No, and the players that seem to have that mentality don't really seem to have the quality. People like Hutton and Elphick.
I actually thought Elphick was okay at the weekend. Yeah. I didn't think he did too bad. I feared the worst when Baker was out, but I thought Elphick did okay. I think it's just puzzling, as you say. Like, no one can put the finger on why it is now. It's turning into a bit like last season again, where you can't put your finger on what's going wrong. But it's really good to talk to you, mate. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.
Bye.
Alex, welcome, mate. Good to talk to you.
It's good to see you.
You want to talk about how Villa are going to finish this season and what we should be planning for next season, is it?
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned at the moment. Obviously, we're not winning as many games as we need to be winning to be getting the playoffs at the moment. And it seems that they're becoming more and more out of reach for us. So I'm starting to think whether that's something we need to not be aiming on and looking to build the squad for next season to keep us in the Championship and then develop something to take us into the the English Premier League after next season.
Even though I was very, very down on Saturday and I was very, very negative, obviously, when me and Matt did our chat afterwards, I still kind of feel like if this team can get on a run, however unlikely that is, 10 points, it isn't impossible, because we're 10 points away from the playoffs. We're 11 points clear of relegation. So if people are saying we're not going to get the playoffs, then we're definitely not going to go down. So is that why you're saying that we should just write off this season? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, obviously, still, I don't want us to write it off completely. Like, I still want us to try and push for the playoffs, because obviously we want to be getting promoted. But I don't know if we did get promoted this season, how it would go next season, whether we'd have enough players to keep us in the Premier, in the top league as well. So yeah, I mean, you look at the quality of our squad, and it's not there for the next step up, really. I think we come straight back down again. So I don't know if we maybe need more time to develop the squad. But I mean, the playoffs probably aren't out of reach, but I'm just thinking, it's taken a while to get some transfers through. We've not really had anyone come in yet or anything.
No, it's worried.
So I am a bit concerned. I mean, a few deals are taking a while to come through. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it seems like they're struggling to get players in at the moment. So I'm a bit worried about that.
You touched on it briefly about Gusted. Do you think some of the outgoings are quite bizarre at the moment? Because I do. Because to be selling Sissoko when you've only got one left back, to me seems odd. To get rid of Gusted when you're struggling for strikers seems bizarre as well.
I mean, like you said, struggling for strikers, we've got McCormack out of form and Gabby Bunhall, and then we were whipping balls in like it was going out of fashion against Wolves, and we've got no one that can head it. And then, like you said, selling Sissoko as well. I mean, that's just mad. Like, we've got one left back now, and Mavi had a really bad injury last season, so it might take only a little knock to get that back, and then we're absolutely screwed for a fullback. So I am very concerned about some of the players going out and the fact that we're not bringing in the right ones either as well.
Hopefully Bruce knows what he's doing, and I definitely think the guys behind the scenes know what they're doing. Hopefully it's just a case of time, and by the end of January we'll all be a lot happier.
Yeah, like I'm behind Bruce all the way, and I want to give him as much time as it takes because he's been proven in this league. He knows what he's doing, so I think give time and it should be all right.
All right, mate. Well, thanks for coming on to talk to us.
Right, no worries. Thanks for talking.
Cheers, pal. Good to have you on, mate. What do you want to talk about today? You want to talk about what our priorities should be now with the season approaching the second half?
Yeah, I mean, obviously now, due to the disappointing loss at Wolves, and not just the loss really, the recent performances as well would maybe suggest that the results aren't round the corner either, and really therefore, the chances of making that sixth spot are looking very remote as we speak, and therefore where should the priorities be for the rest of the season really? I mean, now the rest of the season needs to be focused on building for next season and having the best chance of making it up, and maybe that might include giving the youngsters a chance, the likes of Andre Green and Davis, Hepburn, Murphy, if and when he signs anything. And just because if we don't give them a chance now, well, how are we to know that they're going to be up for it next season?
Yeah, the thing is with young players, you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not a good time to throw them in now in the Championship." But then the people were saying that at the same time last season in the Premier League when we're struggling. Exactly. So I'm kind of like, when is the right time to throw them in? Would you feel better? For me, we need at least 4 players, so that's a striker, 2 central midfielders, and a right back at the very least. If we got 4 players of decent quality in who would make a difference, would you feel more confident about the players? Would you think it was achievable then?
Possibly, but then is it, if these are going to be in late January, it could well be too late then. Hopefully, I heard murmurings on Twitter this afternoon that hopefully Lansbury might be in before the end of this week, but all the rest of the potential talked about signings don't look to be that close at the moment. So if we lose the next couple of games, or we don't pick maximum points up, even if we do bring 4 in by the time the window shuts, and potentially we get the lads back from the Africa Cup of Nations, then it's going to be too late anyway, isn't it?
So 6 points, and then you reckon that you'll feel a bit better about the playoffs?
Yeah, it all depends on the other results as well. I was having a look at the league earlier and the clubs that are all ready in there, and you can't really see any of them dropping out. And that's what you need. Even if we were to put together a really good run of form, which potentially, yes, if Lansbury comes and another striker and the other signings that have been mentioned, yeah, that's, good. But then it just means the other teams are having to hold to. If we were 5 or 6 points behind, yes, but I just think that's too many now.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. It's going to be very, very difficult. But it's good to talk to you, mate. I agreed with pretty much everything you said. To be fair, so good to speak to you.
Thanks very much for having me on.
All right, mate. No problem. Good to talk to you, mate. You want to talk about the way we set ourselves up, don't you?
Yeah, I just feel like, especially in the Wolves game, going into the game, we didn't exactly look like we had a structure going forward. It was kind of the players, especially looking from the sidelines, they looked like they had no real idea of what they actually do.
Do you think that's a Bruce thing? Because I kind of saw in the second half, especially when obviously I was watching at home, you were at the game, so you didn't see on TV what I saw. They kept panning to Bruce, and Bruce just looked bemused by what he was saying, almost as if the players weren't following instructions.
Yeah.
Do you think it is that Bruce is not giving them the right instructions, or do you think it actually is that the players aren't following them?
I feel like it's a mixture of both, because under Di Matteo, it was kind of the same situation, really. Yeah. They wasn't sure what they were actually doing. And I feel like that's kind of rubbed off with Bruce as well. I feel like that's been a thing over the years that is constantly kept going and going and going. where the players just don't have a real idea of what they actually are supposed to do in a way.
Like we haven't got like a mentality, or we haven't got a set way of playing.
So they'll set out with the mentality, just see what happens. Then half time, if we're winning, they'll try change it, and if we're losing, then they'll try change it at half time or something else.
Obviously now it's middle of January and we've only bought in Johnston on loan. Are you alarmed by how long it's taken us to get players in?
Yeah, I thought we would have at least put a striker in by now, especially for Rudy. I thought we would have had a replacement lined up for Jested straight away. So I felt like that was a bit rash in terms of getting rid of him straight away without a backup plan to succeed him after he left.
Cheers for coming on and speaking to us, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, pal.
See you later.
You want to talk about Villa's spine and the lack of activity in the transfer window?
Yeah, Tommy Elphick at the back, nuts the post, looks a hard man, plastic defender for me, offers nothing that side. When Baker's injured, you can tell straight away that we're going to struggle because, to be honest, I just don't see what he offers to this side. He's doing it at Bournemouth, fair enough. Is he an Aston Villa player? I don't think so. Every time I've watched him this season, he hasn't impressed. He offers very little in terms of pace. His presence isn't enough for me either. That's the first culprit. The second one, the first team started, I hate to say it, and I thought he'd be a completely different player when he came. Jedinak, big presence, massive beard, chop off the beard, and he's just another plastic midfielder. And another one of those players that we've signed with such high expectations, but just is not performing. He'll have one good game, 3 bad. If we're going to have any chance of getting into those playoffs this season, for me, he needs to step up his game, or we need to buy a completely new midfield, which again links to the activity in the transfer window. Yeah. And then again, up front, McCormack. It's all right being the top goal scorer at Fulham, Leeds, but when you come to a big club like Villa, well, in Leeds' respect, when he was at Leeds, they were a poor side. But when you come to a club like Villa, if you're not going to perform and you're not going to take the chance this January like he's been given, then I'm sorry. Then again, another player who just is either not good enough for us or needs to seriously step it up. And I think in regards to the transfer window, today we've got rid of Sissoko. I can't work that out for the life of me. I'm hoping we've got some cover. I just don't get it, Dan. Like, we've got a left back in Amari who's been pretty out of form since the rumours have come around from Marseille. He's been pretty out of form. Yeah. Who's now got zero pressure on his position. You know, it's not fantasy football. Don't want to be seeing under 23 players being drafted in if needs be. You know, we need solid, experienced cover. And letting go of Gusted. I'm not saying the goal was a role beater, but when you've got Gabby up front and you're pumping balls into the box to Ross McCormack as well, who's 5, in small 5 foots. Yeah. Again, it makes no sense. And I think we've got to be careful, Dan, because people are going to start asking questions not only of the chairman but the manager, when in reality he's had 0 pennies to spend. He's bought a player in on loan. That's it. I think as soon as we sort that midfield out, I think we can start pushing and looking at getting some wins under our belt. But until we sort out that midfield and getting decent covering in positions that are necessary, I'm struggling to see us finishing any higher than 12th.
You talked about Elphick. I actually thought he was okay on Saturday. I admit he's been poor in general, but I actually thought he was okay on Saturday.
I don't know. There was moments in the game where I think it was in the second half where he just gave the ball away. And it's just things that I'm not saying Baker's a world beater either, but it's things that Baker wouldn't be doing, and it's things that
he's been good.
He's been, I think he's been quality, and I think that for me, I'm not an Elphick lover, and I might be a bit biased, but I think Chester looks far more comfortable when he's next to Baker. To be honest, I think he's I think we've got the perfect centre half pair in there. You can just really see the cracks. I'm not saying Elphick was shocking on Saturday, but this season for me has been poor. And if we're going to get really into it, Alan Hutton at right back, although again he doesn't do much wrong, doesn't do much right either. But that's a completely other discussion. Who, at the moment, I don't think he's the main problem, but in the greater scheme of things, he's part of it. So I think we just got to book our ideas, Dan, if we're going to have any form of idea of getting into them playoffs. I know we're good at home, but away from home, it's just shocking.
Yeah, it's bad. I just want to go back to what you said about Jedinak, just playing like devil's advocate a bit. Do you think that he's actually been asked to do a job that he's not capable of in a 2-man midfield? Whereas when we were in a midfield 3, he actually looked the business in this league, I thought.
I think the problem with me and Jedinak is, again, another player I did call out as plastic there. It's too much on and off. Now, in a 3-man midfield, I think he has done a half-decent job. But for me, even even so, I don't think on a game-to-game basis he's offering enough. I don't see enough desire from him in a lot of cases, although he puts his head in where it hurts and does the dirty stuff. His footballing ability, at Palace, he was a completely different player. Fair enough, in probably a better midfield. But he played in a three-man midfield on Saturday, Dan, and he was pretty poor. Although he puts his head in where it hurts. I think that papers over the cracks him a lot. I think his fitness is pretty. Again, he's getting on a bit. He does. I think the key thing is he can't play a two-man midfield. You can't ask him to do that. But at the same time, I want to see more. I want to see a bit more from him, to be honest, because I can't remember the last game where I can honestly say he put in a real shift or he was a difference. He was the strength man in the midfield. It's been quite a while now, so I know what you're saying. I think he's better in a two-man midfield, but we're waiting too long for this Jedi Nat to turn up at Villa and be the player we all thought he was going to be, to be honest.
Well, hopefully, come the end of the month, we'll all feel a bit differently, and Jedi will have some different midfielders around him. But it's good to talk to you, mate. Cheers for coming on.
Cheers, mate. Nice.
See you later. Thanks for watching. Is this something that you'd like to see more of, the football type phoning? Please let us know in the comments below. As always, if you could subscribe, that'd be brilliant. We're really close to 5k now, and we hope to make it soon. Give the video a like, and as always, up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.